ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा। So somehow your TV connect नहीं हो रहा है, so we'll continue without that only.
Yes, please.
So we are discussing from fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on chapter 2 today. So in the first chapter of this fourth canto, Maitreya Muni, he continued the description of the dynasty of Swayambhuva Manu. And in the first chapter, he described the various descendants of the daughters of Devahuti. And then he described the descendants of Akuti and Prasuti also. And then while describing the descendants of Prasuti, he said that Daksha had, so Prasuti married Daksha and they had 16 daughters. The 16th one is Sati, and Sati had no children. So that creates a question in the mind of Vidurji. So that's how Vidurji, he begins the inquiry about how is this possible that Daksha, who was so very affectionate to his daughter, and Sati was the youngest one. So parents are generally more attached to the youngest one. So he says, Vidura uvacha bhave shilavatam sreshte daksho duhitravatsalah vidvesham makarot kasmat anadrityatmajam satim. So he says, Bhava, Lord Shiva, is Shilavatam Shreshta. He is best among the gentle. And Daksha is Duhitravatsala. Duhitravatsala means he is most affectionate to his daughter. I think we can increase the temperature. Daksha Duhitravatsala. So Vidvesham Akarut Kasmat, how can there be envy, amongst these two great personalities? Daksha, he is also a very great personality, and Bhava is the most affectionate and the most gentle personality. Vidvesham Akarot Kasmat. So how come there is a dissension between Daksha and Lord Shiva? Anadritya Atmajam Satim. And how could it be so bitter that Daksha neglected his own daughter Sati? And then he describes the glories of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is Charachara Guru, Kastam Charachara Guru. He is the spiritual master of all the worlds. Nirvaira, he is non-envious. Shanta Vigraham, always peaceful. And Atma Ramam, he is self-satisfied. Jagato Daivatam Mahat, and he is the greatest of all the Devatas. So Shiva has all these wonderful qualities, and Daksha is very affectionate to his daughter. So how can there be a dissension between these two personalities? So Prabhupada writes that no one can be an enemy of Lord Shiva, because he is so peaceful and renounced that he did not even construct a house for his own. We know the story, when the Lord Shiva got married to Sati. So he invited all the sages for housewarming ceremony. And after the ceremony was done, and then he made a house, because Sati said, please construct a house. So he made a house because he is staying under tree in Kailash. So then when it came to giving charity, so he started giving charity to all the sages. And then last one was remaining and he had nothing. So how Lord Shiva had nothing, that is, a pastime. So Lord Shiva gave his own home to that person, that sage. And again, he is under the tree. So he is so renounced that he didn't even construct a house for his residence. So he is a symbol of gentleness. So Prabhupada writes, why then Daksha was inimical towards such Lord Shiva? That is a very intriguing thing. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes that in this chapter, Daksha, he criticizes Lord Shiva. So Maitreya Muni will describe why, what was the situation, why Daksha criticized Lord Shiva, and then he left. So that is the various thing, because Prabhupada writes in another second verse purport that Lord Shiva is Vaishnavanam, Yatha Shambhu is best of the Vaishnavas. And Kashyap Muni in the future chapter, he is telling Diti, when Diti is approaching him for union at a wrong time. So he is telling Diti that this is not the right time, because Lord Shiva is moving around with his associates. Esha ghoratama vela ghoranam ghor darshana yassam charanti bhutani bhutesha anucharanihi. This is a very wrong time, because Lord Shiva is moving with all his associates. And he is surrounded by whom? Ghosts, hobgoblins, all the lower creatures. And he is waiting to see if somebody does some wrong thing, he'll put that creature in the womb of that personality. So he is very gentle even to ghosts also. So how can Daksha become envious of such personality who is Ashutosh, who is so gentle? So Prabhupada again continues that Vidura was astonished that Daksha is a great man. He is the father of Sati, and Lord Shiva is spiritual master of everyone. So how come there be a dissension? So it is not a regular affair, So because it is controversy between two great people. Lord Shiva is the greatest of the devotees, and Daksha is the greatest of the managers. He is a manager of the universe. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes that if externally the Guru shows enmity, one should not still hate him. Even if Guru is shows some inimical behavior, one should not hate him. And Lord Shiva is a Guru of whole world. How can Daksha hate him? So that is the question. So Vidurji, he asks that etadakyahi me brahman jamatu shwasurasya cha vidveshastu yatah prana tyatyaje dustyajan sati. जामातु और ससुर, दामाद और ससुर में इतना झगड़ा कैसे हो गया भाई, वो बताइए क्या कारण था? What was the reason for quarrel between two great personalities? So then Maitreya Muni starts the story. So once Prajapatis, they performed a great sacrifice in which all the great sages assembled. And in that assembly, Marichi, Daksha, Vasishtha, and all the Devtas were also invited. Indra and all the 49 fire gods. Last week we discussed 49 fire gods are sons of Prasuti's daughter. So all were invited along with Brahma and Lord Shiva. Everybody was there. And everybody is seated. So Daksha enters the assembly. So Daksha is not an ordinary personality. When he entered the assembly, everyone was amazed by the effulgence of Daksha. He was a very, very powerful, charismatic personality. He was not an ordinary person. ऐसे ही थोड़ी ना दक्ष शिव जी से ऐसा ही द्वेष करेंगे. So he was really a powerful personality. And Maitreya Muni says that his bodily luster was as effulgent as sun. That's how powerful, effulgent he was. Entire assembly was illuminated when he entered the assembly. So, and it is said that all the personalities became insignificant in his presence. That was Daksha. He was really a powerful person. So this whole pastime, which is being described here, shows that however powerful one may be, unless one is a devotee, he cannot handle that power and remain humble. It is not so easy to be humble when you have power. And that is the classic example of Daksha. And that's what Vamanadev tells to Bali Maharaj in the 8th canto. It comes. Janma karma vayo rupa vidya aishwarya dhanadibhi yadi yasya na bhavet stambha tatrayam madanugrahat. He says, if somebody has vidya, lots of knowledge, janma, high birth, karma, good activities, vaya, youthful body, rupa, beautiful body, vidya, lots of education, lots of wealth, dhan, adi. If he is not proud, even after having all this, yadi yasya na bhavet stambha. Stambha means proud. No. Stambha means proud. Even after getting all these things, if he is not proud, you should understand madanugrah. Meri kripa hui hai uspe. Otherwise, nobody can be humble after getting all these things. So Daksha, naturally, he is very proud. And influenced by his luster, everybody got up. Apart from two personalities. Brahma and Shiva. Because Brahma is the father and Shivji was absorbed in meditation. He didn't even realize. And why Shivji didn't get up, he didn't even justify even after whole thing. We'll see how Daksha speaks all wrong words. Still, Lord Shiva doesn't speak anything, doesn't justify. कि अरे मुझे पूछो तो सही. He is just sitting quietly. And after many thousand years, when Sati wants to go back for the second yajna, that time he tells, why I was not why I was sitting and I didn't get up. That time it is. So everybody got up apart from Lord Shiva and Daksha and Brahmaji. So Daksha, he entered, he welcomed everyone and he gave respect to Brahmaji. And as he is giving respect to Brahmaji, he with one eye is seeing Lord Shiva didn't get up. नहीं खड़े हुए हैं. सबको प्रणाम, दक्ष को प्रणाम किए. He's taking respects from everyone and he sees Lord Shiva didn't get up. And he becomes greatly angry. His eyes are glowing with anger. Prabhupada writes that Shivji, he's a principal demigod. He is not supposed to bow down in front of Daksha. But Daksha को क्या लग रहा है? Why he became angry? Shivji, मेरा दामाद है, son-in-law. Son-in-law खड़ा होना चाहिए ना. So we have to understand, this is not the only reason. Anything which we, see when we have some conflict with somebody and any of you have experienced एक statement बोला और सामने वाला इतना भड़क गया. मैंने तो इतना सही बोला था. इतना क्यों भड़क गए? Everything has a background story. So it was not the only thing which was irritating Daksha. He खड़ा नहीं हुआ. There was a whole background story that he will tell later. So every outburst has a story about it. So everyone has some idiosyncrasy. And Daksha, he is not so much happy with the appearance of Lord Shiva. So now Daksha gives such a logical argument and tries to polarize the public opinion. कि मैं जो बोल रहा हूँ ना वो सही है. He's trying to make everyone on his side, take everyone on his side. And very systematically he is, trying to impress everyone that I am speaking right. And he tells that श्रूयतां ब्रह्मर्षयो मे सहदेवा सहाग्नयः साधूनां ब्रुवतो वृत्तं न ज्ञानां न च मत्सरात् श्रूयताम. He is loudly telling, please listen to me. O Brahmarshis, O Devrishis, whoever have assembled here, suno. And he says, na ajnanam. I am not speaking out of ignorance. Na cha matsarat. I am not speaking out of envy. बोलते हैं कभी कभी लगता है कि मेरे को गुस्सा नहीं आ रहा है, मैं तो जस्ट बता रहा हूं, आई एम जस्ट टेलिंग द फैक्ट. आई एम नॉट एनवियस ऑफ दिस शिवा, बट आई एम टेलिंग द फैक्ट. Chakravarti Thakur says that, you know what I'll do? I'll criticize the bad mannered because they do not, but please do not become unhappy. If I'll not criticize the bad mannered, well mannered will suffer. मतलब मैं तो समाज के कल्याण के लिए बोल रहा हूं. That's why I'm speaking. And you know what will happen if I'll not speak? It is like, not weeding the grain field, that weeds will grow. So the Shiva is bad mannered, and I am just speaking for the welfare of everyone assembled here. All of you are gentle people. So आप लोगों के भले के लिए बोल रहा हूं. So the sages may say, well, you speak like this because you are ignorant of the qualities of Lord Shiva. He says, no, I am not speaking out of ignorance. मुझे जन्म से इनके प्रति द्वेष नहीं है, He says, I have not known hatred from birth. So what he meant was, we are all gentle people, and let's discuss the manners of gentle people. And that's how we'll tell how Lord Shiva is completely wrong in his behavior. Prabhupada writes, in other words, he was in complete knowledge that he was speaking against Lord Shiva in spite of his spotless character. He knew that Lord Shiva is having no bad qualities, but still he was speaking like that. And he was envious of Lord Shiva from the beginning. Although he spoke like a man in ignorance, he wanted to cover his statements. When somebody is acting out of envy, everyone can see, but that person doesn't realize. It is like a person who is snoring. सबको पता चलता है कि ये खराटे मारे, लेकिन उसको लगता है मैं क्यों खराटे मारता हूं. I never snore. That is how anarthas are. Everyone around can see this person is becoming envious, angry, greedy. लेकिन उसको लगता है मेरे में तो कोई दोष है ही नहीं. I have no faults. Daksha was convinced that Shiva is fool. He is not playing politics. He is convinced कि ये एकदम कुछ भी इनमें अच्छा नहीं है. He was convinced about it. And he is thinking, I'll help the society by revealing how foolish, how wrong Lord Shiva is. And then he starts speaking all wrong words, And this whole chapter is full of blasphemy of Lord Shiva. तो अभी वो blasphemy हम क्यों पढ़ेंगे? Because Saraswati, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, for every wrong thing which Daksha is speaking, it is a glorification of Lord Shiva, indirectly. So he says, Ayam tu lokapalanam yashagno nirapatrapa sadbhir acharita pantha yena stabdhena dushita. This Lord Shiva, what he has done? Yasho Ghna. Yash means fame. He has destroyed the fame of all the governors of the universe. सबका नाम बदनाम कर दिया है, Yashoghna. Nirapatrapa, he is shameless. And Sadbhi Acharita Pantha, he has destroyed, Dushita, he has spoiled the path of well-mannered. So that means he's saying this person has spoiled the name of all of you. And that's how he is expertly trying to convince them कि मैं कहाँ गलत बोल रहा हूँ. I'm just telling you the fact. So that's how, this is a technique, people they follow when they try to convince people. They will present their opinions in such a way that the other person thinks, barabar bol raha hai, he's speaking truth. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, what is this Yashoghna? He says, by his own fame, Lord Shiva can derides the fame of all others. He's so famous that in front of him, everyone else becomes insignificant. That's how he is Yashogna. Nirapatrapa. Nirapatrapa means shameless, but it can also mean one who gives shelter to those without deliverance. Lord Shiva is called as Bhutanath. He gives shelter to those people who cannot be delivered by anyone. Nirapatrapa. So those people, they cannot approach Lord Vishnu, they cannot approach other devatas. Therefore, Lord Shiva gives them shelter. All the ghosts and bhutas and pishach. That's how he is Nirapatrapa. And Stabdha. Stabdha means, he says, the actual meaning is he is without shame. Because the path followed by the well-mannered is spoiled by the best of the proud. That is the meaning. But it can also mean that the path followed by the well-mannered is spoiled by destruction, by the demons. So that's how, this stuff, all these meanings, all these words, they are given a positive meaning by acharyas. That comes always. Whenever a demon is criticizing, whenever, it comes when, in Govardhan Leela also, when Indra is criticizing Krishna, he is telling, these Brajvasis, they have taken shelter of this talkative boy. Vachalam, Balisham, Stabdham, Agyam, Panditamaninam, Krishnam, Martyam, Upashritya, Ye Chakru, Devahelana. These Brajvasis, they have taken shelter of this talkative child. Vachal. Chakravarti Thakur says, Vachal means when he speaks, everybody stops speaking. Sabka muh band ho jata hai. Vachalam. Balisham means he is innocent. Krishna is innocent. And Agyam, he says Agyam means he is ignorant. Chakravarti Thakur says, Arey, there is nothing for him to be known. तो क्या जानेंगे? सब कुछ तो ऑलरेडी जानते हैं. पंडित मानिना, he says पंडित मानता है अपने आप को. चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर से, अरे बड़े बड़े लोग इनको पंडित मानते हैं. So that's the case everywhere. So then, hearing all this, all the controllers, they may ask, if you had such grudge against Lord Shiva, why did you marry your daughter to him? क्यों शादी किया भाई? इतना उनको गुस्सा था तो. So he says, he has cheated me. He has cheated my daughter. She was innocent. मतलब सबको लगता है मेरा बेटा सबसे innocent है. कभी गलती करेगा ही नहीं मेरा बच्चा. So Lord Shiva says, एश में शिष्यताम प्राप्तो. He is my subordinate. शिष्य मेरा. Lord Shiva बोल रहे हैं, he is my subordinate. And he has married my daughter in front of fire and all the brahmanas. And my daughter is like Gayatri. She has good qualities. And he has behaved like an honest person, but he is dishonest. So, asadhuvat. He has behaved like sadhu, but he is not sadhu, he is asadhu. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, actually, what he is saying? He is saying, actually, till today, Lord Shiva has kept my behavior secret. Because Lord Shiva knows he is omniscient. And he knows my crooked behavior. Therefore, he did not stand up and welcome me. He was tolerating. And he knew that my daughter is very, very saintly. Therefore, he married my daughter. And he knew that I am a very wicked person. And then Daksha says, my daughter has eyes of a cub, a deer cub, a small baby deer. And he has eyes of a monkey. Markat lochan bolte hain. So he is giving, solid blasphemy. And on top of that, he did not even get up to receive me. So, so Chakravarti Thakur says, Markat lochana. Some materialists, they are like monkeys. And Lord Shiva is so merciful, he grants their desires. So that's how he is Markat lochana. So actually, Lord Shiva, who told Daksha to marry his daughter to Shiva? Brahmaji. But the thing is, when we are forced to do something against our wish, Daksha didn't want to marry his daughter to Lord Shiva. But क्या करें अभी ब्रह्मा जी बोल रहे हैं, that's what he tells in the one of the verses. Because Brahma told, that's why I married my daughter. Otherwise, मुझे तो मालूम था कि इनके साथ शादी नहीं करवाना चाहिए. So therefore, Lord Shiva also became the object of his envy. Brahmaji did something, and because of that, he is thinking Lord Shiva is, the object of my envy. So that is how he is criticizing. And then he says, this personality, lupta kriyaya shuchaye. He does not follow any rules and regulations. He is ashuchi. He is very unclean, does not observe any rules and regulations. He is manina, he is proud. He is bhinna setave. He has broken all rules of civility. And although I did not want to marry my daughter, anichan, ichha nahi tha, still I was obliged to hand over my daughter to him. So in front of everyone, he is criticizing. And he says, just like a person teaches Vedas to a Shudra, I married my daughter to Lord Shiva. So that's how strong blasphemy he is making. So how to understand this in a good way? What are the good meanings of these words? Chakravarti Thakur says, Ashuchaya means there is nobody cleaner than him. Or koi inse hai hi nahi शुद्ध. And he is amaninam, that means he is not proud. And abhinna setave. So he breaks the word in a different way. Sandhi vichhed mein भिन्न का अभिन्न करते हैं वो. So he says abhinna setve, he does not break any rules. And actually, I was not qualified, but still Lord Shiva so mercifully accepted my daughter out of his mercy. So that's how he is criticizing, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is giving good words. And then he says, this personality, he lives in crematorium. He covers himself with ash, and his companions are ghosts and demons. And he moves naked like a madman. Atati unnamattavan nagno. He's naked, moves like a madman, and his hairs are always scattered. Sometimes he's crying, sometimes he's laughing like a madman. He smears his body with ash. He wears the garland of skulls.
Well, why does he give shelter to ghosts and all that? They to trouble people, man. So how can Shivji always with them?
That's how to rectify them. Like, kabhi to sudrega.
He's so bola,
he's so merciful, so compassionate.
The ghost and Pishal, they live with him because they always trouble human beings, man.
No, not always. They trouble, that is a different story altogether, So these ghosts and hobgoblins, they have their role. They are not always, creating bad things against the will of Lord Shiva. There are some people who need it, who need to be corrected. So Lord Shiva engages them in their service, in that thing. So ghosts and hobgoblins, by nature, they have this sinful propensity. So Lord Shiva is so merciful, he is trying to rectify them also by giving his association to them. That is the glory of Lord Shiva. Who will stay with such personalities?
Those might not be the earthly people, no? Or they might be some.
Yeah, they are even higher than human beings. Yeah. These Rakshasas. These ghosts are not the ghosts which we know. ये जो भूत है जो हम लोग सुनते हैं, they are higher level of beings. So जो अर्थ भूमंडल के ऊपर रहते हैं, अंतरिक्ष में रहते हैं, यक्ष, पिशाच, all those, they are considered higher. They have higher powers. They are higher species, but they are sinful by some, because they do some wrong things, but they have higher powers. So Lord Shiva wants to rectify them also. So that is the description given.
They have subtle body, the ones.
तो शिव जी के साथ ये सब लोग थोड़ी ना रहते हैं, भूत पिशाच सब लोग शिव जी के साथ नहीं रहते ना। शिव जी का एसोसिएट बनना इज नॉट एन इजी थिंग, to associate with Lord Shiva, that means you should have something, some penance, some tapasya, something you should have done. जो ऑर्डिनरी भूत जो रहते हैं वो तो इधर ही घूमते रहते हैं, ये तो लोगों को परेशान करने वाले भूत।
You are told that those who commit suicide become.
हाँ वो है, लेकिन ये जो शिवजी एसोसिएट्स, दे आर नॉट ऑर्डिनरी पीपल,
I don't think so. They come into the body or something. No, that is what he's asking right now. That
I don't know the details, but the principle we should understand that these personalities, they are with Lord Shiva. That means they have done some good, activities also. How they'll get association of Lord Shiva? They may have some bad conditionings, but they must have done something good. So that's why they are in association of Lord Shiva. And somehow Lord Shiva tries to rectify them. Not all the भूत जो हम लोग देखते हैं सुनते हैं, horror stories वाले भूत, वो वाले भूत नहीं है लोग. They are different people. So Daksha, he continues that he has ornament of skulls. Somebody was telling, I don't know how true it is. One time, पार्वती यहाँ से इतना सारा garland skulls का क्यों पहन के घूमते आप? So Lord Shiva tells, these are all the births you have taken previously. These are your skulls. So I don't know how true it is, but I have heard this. So he says, Shiva Padesho, he is Shiva in the name only. Shiva का मतलब क्या होता है?
Auspicious.
Auspicious. Daksha says he is Shiva in the name only, but he is a Shiva. He is inauspicious and he is Matta Janapriya. He is mad and he is dear to crazy people. So that's how he is describing. Prabhupada writes, sometimes it is seen that, so that is this answer Prabhupada is giving. Great personalities meet with fallen people not for any personal interest, but for the benefit of those souls. Lord Vishnu takes charge of persons who are advanced Vaishnavas. Brahma takes charge of people who are attached to material activities. And Lord Shiva is so kind. He takes charge of persons who are in mode of ignorance. That's why he is auspicious. Unmattavan, the word used is Unmattavan. He is like a madman. So he says actually he is mad in love of God. That's why he dances and that's why he cries sometimes. He is mad in love of God. Evam vrata swapriyanama kirtya jata nurago drutachitta uchchai hasatyathara odatirauti gayan unmadavan nrityati loka bahya. This is a description of a person who is in ecstasy. Evam vrata swapriyanama kirtya. Anybody who is chanting the names of the dearmost Lord, Jata Anurag, he has developed attachment for Krishna. What happens? Sometimes hasati, raudati, rota hai, sometimes he cries, sometimes he laughs, gayati, sometimes sings, sometimes dances, unmadvan nrityati lokabhaya, doesn't care for people in general. That's how Lord Shiva is, unmattavan. And Shiva Padesha means there is nobody greater than Shiva in auspiciousness. तो अभी उनसे ज्यादा auspicious क्या कौन होगा फिर? Matta Janapriya, and he accepts those who are completely mad. Out of his mercy, he accepts them. So that's how Chakravarti Thakur says. And then Tasmad Unmad Nathaya, he is the Lord of hosts. Nashta Shuchaye, he is devoid of all cleanliness. Duraride, his heart is full of nasty things. That's how Daksha is telling. And you know why I married my daughter? Because Datta Bat Maya Sadhvi Chodite Parameshthina. Because Parameshthi means Brahma. Brahma told me, that's why I married. He's not addressing Brahma as father. बोलते मेरे पिताजी नहीं है, ब्रह्मा बोल रहे हैं, परमेष्ठी मतलब आउट ऑफ sarcasm he is saying, ये बड़े लोग ने बोला इसलिए शादी करवाया. That's how he is saying.
sometimes Parameshti is.
Yeah, the words depend on the context where it is used. Here the Parameshti is Brahmaji. So he's sarcastically saying that because this big person told me, that's why I had to marry my daughter to this personality. Otherwise, I had no intentions. So that's how a person, when he's angry, he offends everyone. He offended Lord Shiva. Now he's offending Brahmaji, his guru. He's a guru, a spiritual master. So that's how anger is. Nothing remains sacred for a person who is angry. He can do anything in anger. So earlier he did Vaishnava Aprad, now he's doing Guru Aprad.
His father also,
Sorry?
Daksha's father.
Father also and his teacher also. That's why he has taught all these things. So that's how Lord Daksha is speaking all wrong things. He's Unmadanathaya. Chakravarti Thakur says Shiva is merciful even to mad. Unmadanath. Those who are mad, Lord Shiva is merciful to them. Nashta Shuchaye. He purifies even most impure personality. That's why he's Nashta Shuchaye. And Duraride, he is merciful even to sinful people. And then after speaking all these things, Daksha, he could not handle all that. He prepared to curse Lord Shiva. And curse karne ke liye bhi, he washes his hand and mouth. And then he is about to curse. When you have to speak a sacred mantra, you have to purify yourself. So he purifies himself, he washes his mouth, and then the curse which he speaks is, that shows what Daksha holds dear. मतलब मुझे क्या अच्छा लगता है इसको नहीं मिलना चाहिए. अयम तु देव यजना इंद्रोपेन्द्रादिभिर्भव सहभागम न लभताम देवैर्देवगणाधमः. He says, Indra Devayagya, whenever there will be sacrifice for the pleasure of devatas, that means Indra and all the devatas will be invited. This personality will not get the share of yajna. Sahabhagam na labhate. So this is what Daksha valued. Prabhupada said actually Lord Shiva was saved from so much of calamity. Why? Because the Lord Shiva is a pure devotee and devatas many times they are materialistic. Why I have to go to be with material people? If current times, if somebody knows that अपने company वाले एक party दे रहे हैं, and in that party liquor will be there, non-veg will be there, and the project manager comes and says, we are giving you punishment, you will not be allowed in this party, and this person is a devotee, तो क्या बोलेगा वो? बच गए, अच्छा हुआ, so that's how Lord Shiva was thinking, अच्छा हो गया. Prabhupada writes that it is not fitting for him to eat and sit with material people like devatas. Prabhupada gives the example of Gaur Das Babaji. He would sit in latrine and chant. Why? All the people, they were constantly coming and asking Babaji, Ashirwad Diji. All material benedictions. So he wanted to avoid all of them. So he would sit in toilet and he would chant there. Of course, he was at that level. We cannot do so. We have to understand the place and situation and then, practice. So that's how. And interesting thing is, itna sab kuch ho gaya, Lord Shiva never justified why, itna sara gali de rahe hai. And he's sitting peacefully. He didn't speak a word. That shows how Atmaram he is. Lord Shiva is completely self-satisfied, has no grudges against Daksha so far. And then as he's prepared to curse Lord Shiva, before that all the assembly people, all the sages and everybody is telling, please don't do this. This is not good. But he doesn't listen to anyone. And he thinks, I do not see anyone apart from me who has intelligence here. Why are you telling me not to curse him? This person is all wrong. And for the welfare of everyone, I am cursing him. So he is thinking only I am intelligent here. And therefore all of you are not intelligent, I'll not stay in this assembly. That's what Daksha is thinking. And therefore he left. Prabhupada writes, puffed up by his exalted position, he thought that no one was greater than he in argument. He is the best. He is the most intelligent. So everybody requested him, but still he left. So Daksha means what? What is the meaning of Daksha? Expert. He is expert in material activities, but because he is having aversion towards saintly people, that's why he is affected by anger, lust, passion. And therefore, that's how we should be very, very careful of Vaishnava Prad. It lasts over lifetimes. Because Daksha offended Lord Shiva. So this story is happening in which Manvantar? In the first Manvantar, we heard last time. Swayambhuva Manvantar. And then ultimately Daksha was killed. He was beheaded. First Manvantar. Again he appeared as son of Prachetas and Marisha in the first Manvantar. He went to do tapasya. He did tapasya for 5 Manvantars. Again in the 6th Manvantar, when Narad Muni, he made all his 11,000 sons as brahmacharis, he cursed Narad Muni also. That's how the effect of, this Vaishnava Prad may last for lifetimes. So that's how we have to be really careful of avoiding this Vaishnava Prad. Everyone was happy when Lord Shiva was married to Sati. Only Daksha was having this conception. So it was all in the mind of Daksha. He is all wrong person. So that's how it is. So he was always competing with Lord Shiva because he was thinking he is such a nasty person. How come he is the controller of the universe? I am such better personality. So he was competing with Lord Shiva. So this spirit of competition is always there in this material world. In fact, it is there in the spiritual world also. But that competition is to serve Krishna in a better way. In this world, competition is to show ourselves better. There are two pastimes. One in 8th canto where demons are competing to get the nectar, and in the 10th canto where the gopas are competing to touch Krishna first. When Krishna goes to the forest and all the gopas, they have a match. Who will touch Krishna first? Yadi dure gatam Krishna vanashobhe kshanayanaha aham purvam iti samsprishire mire. They are running and they are saying aham purvam. I'll touch Krishna first. I'll touch Krishna first. But what is their mood? Their mood is seeing me running faster. My friend will run faster than me. He'll get inspired and he will touch Krishna first. That is the mood of gopas. And in the Samudra Manthan Leela, when nectar comes out, all the demons, they start fighting. Mitha kalira bhutesham tadarthe tarshachetasam aham purvam natvam iti prabho. That's the difference in Vaikuntha mentality and material mentality. They are also telling aham purvam, I will drink nectar first, not you, not you. So in spiritual world, the competition should increase the service. It's like in the beginning of our movement, Prabhupada told you, increase book distribution. So there were various book distribution parties. So everybody wanted to, become the winner. So one time, one book distribution party, what they did, they had all buses, different buses. तो इसने जाके दूसरे का टायर पंचर कर बोले ये नहीं जाना चाहिए बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन के लिए. Now we will go and we'll distribute books. We'll become the best. We'll become the top person. So that is, not favorable. One time Radhana Swami Maharaj, when he was giving our class on book distribution marathon, it was just started. So Maharaj said we should try our best and we should come second. So we should not come first. We should try our best, inspire others, and they should do better than us. So that is a Vaikuntha mentality. It is a competition even in spiritual world. Radharani and Chandravali, they are also competing. So competition to sab jagah hai. But that competition should not put others down.
Who is Chandravali?
Chandravali is the right-wing gopi. So Radharani and Chandravali, they are opposite. Pura. And Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they are Radharani's followers. रघुनाथ दास गोस्वामी को एक बार किसी ने महाप्रसाद दिया चंद्रावली के गांव का, तो रघुनाथ दास गोस्वामी डिडंट टेक, ही थ्रू दैट, like हम लोग कुछ नहीं खाएंगे चंद्रावली के गांव का. Of course they can do that, for us they are all worshipable. So that is how, in spite of requests of all the members, Daksha, he cursed and then he went. Now, as this curse happened, Nandishwar, he became very angry because he's a principal associate of Lord Shiva. How can he be seated peacefully? He got up and then he prepared to curse Daksha and all the Brahmins. Prabhupada writes, it was right on his behalf to speak and to be angry, because you cannot see any Vaishnava being insulted, but he went overboard. And that happens, मतलब जितना सा किसी ने गलती किया और इसको इतना सारा सुना दिया, Any other case anybody remembers? The mistake was small and the person overreacted. In Bhagavatam it comes. And there was one, okay, that is one case. There was no mistake at all, but Durvasa overreacted. And there is another case where this one Yaksha killed the brother of Dhruva, Uttam. And then Dhruva went on a campaign of destroying all the Vaishnavas, all the Yakshas. Then Swayambhu Manu had to come and say, please stop. And then this 12th canto it comes, when Parikshit's son, Janmechai, when Parikshit, when he was killed by Takshak, he was a small child. When he grew up, and then later he came to know that Takshak killed my father for no reason. He took a vow, I will destroy all the snake race. He did a Sarpa Yagya. Sabko bula rahe, And all the Brahmanas, they are calling, chanting mantras, and all the snakes are falling. तो ये बोलते हैं तक्षक किधर है? तक्षक नहीं दिख रहा है. So sages said that Indra has protected Takshak. He is protecting him. तो बोलते हैं उसको भी लेके आओ इधर. So sages were so powerful, they started chanting mantras and Indra's throne started falling. Indra is falling in that Yagya Agni. So then all the sages, they come, Vashishta comes and pacifies. Bole, kya kar rahe ho? You cannot kill Indra. So Nandi, he was right when he, as he heard all this cursing, he was ready to curse. But he overreacted. So anger was justified, but he overexpressed his anger. And then he gives 3 curses to Daksha and 6 curses to Brahmanas. Double. He says the first curse he gives is, anyone who has accepted Daksha as the most important personality and neglected Lord Shiva because of envy, they'll be bereft of all transcendental knowledge. And because Daksha has done it, he'll be also bereft of all the transcendental knowledge. He will have no knowledge of the body, he'll have no knowledge of the soul, he'll have no knowledge of Paramatma and God. He'll be bereft of it. Because Daksha was acting on a material platform. And because none of the Brahmanas, they stopped Daksha when he started criticizing Lord Shiva. So he cursed all of them. Markat Lochana aur kya kya bol rahe hain. Nobody stopped him. So Nandishwar, he cursed all of them. Just like you must have seen when there are a group of dogs and one dog starts barking. Kya hota hai? So that's what happened in that assembly. When Daksha started speaking, all the people who had bad intentions against Lord Shiva, they also were happy. So that's how Lord Nandi, he started cursing everyone. So Prabhupada writes, the first curse was by Nandishwar was that anyone supporting Daksha will identify himself with body. He'll have no knowledge of the soul. And Daksha, and because Daksha had no transcendental knowledge, supporting him would deprive one of transcendental knowledge. So that's how it is. Very, very sensitive situation here, because Daksha was seeing a body इनका ऐसा है, कितना गंदे रहते हैं, he is so unclean. So we have to be really careful not to criticize any person based on his bodily description. NOI, Nectar of Instruction, describes this, that one should not see the bodily defects of a devotee. So then he speaks of an important verse. He says, Griheshu kuta dharmeshu sakto grama sukhechaya karma tantram vitanute vedavada vipannadhi. He says, those who are pretentious householders, matlab they are grihamedhi, they are always attracted to gramya sukh. Gramya sukh means the pleasures of this world. And they are always attached to fruitive activities. And therefore, they are always attracted to those explanations of the Vedic parts. They describe the heavenly pleasures. Some Vedic parts, Vedic portions describe this. So therefore, the second curse he gives is, let Daksha be absorbed in karma kandi, because he is absorbed in family life. He is identifying with the body. He has forgotten Vishnu. So therefore, he will have only karma kandi mentality. Third curse, in due course of time, Daksha will have a goat head. Why goat head? Because goats are particularly very dull. Even if somebody is killing a goat next, they will keep on eating the grass. So that's why he is so dull. He is not understanding this human body is not meant for enjoying. So that's how he gives 6 curses to Daksha. 3 curses to Daksha. And then he gives 6 curses to Brahmanas. He says, because all these Brahmanas, they have taken side of Daksha, they will have repeated birth and death in this material world. They will not get liberated because they have karma kandi mentality. Second, they will become completely attached to karma kandi mentality. Third, they will have no discrimination of what to eat and what not to eat. Prabhupada writes, this curse, third curse, is completely functioning in the age of Kali. The Brahmanas, they have no discrimination. They eat anything. Fourth, they will take vows. They will do austerities just to maintain their body and family. इतना पैसा मिलेगा, मान सम्मान मिलेगा, तपस्या करेंगे. Fifth, they will have only enjoyment of body. They will never have any understanding of soul. And sixth, they will wander about the earth as beggars. So these are the 6 curses he gives to all the Brahmanas. So Bhrigu, who was the leader of the Brahmanas, wo kyun shant rahenge? So he gets up and he starts cursing all the followers of Lord Shiva. He gives 4 curses. Let all the followers of Lord Shiva become atheists. And let them become obstacles to genuine scriptures. Because you have rejected, you have blasphemed the Vedas, you have already become fallen. Because one of the curse he said is, because all these Brahmanas, they follow the Vedas, and the Vedas, they have all this Yamimam, Pushpitam, Vacham, flowery words of the Vedas. So Bhrigu says, because you have rejected the Vedas, you have already become fallen, and you will let them become addicted to intoxication. That is third thing he says. That's how they always do all these wrong things. And then they will take shelter of atheistic vows. They'll become atheists. So that's how all these curses are given. And then after this, इतना सब कुछ चल रहा है. Lord Shiva is silently sitting. अभी तक कुछ नहीं बोल रहे. He is not sitting saying anything. And then now as this cursing and counter cursing is going, Lord Shiva thinks abhi Nandi ko shant nahi kiya. He will start cursing Vaishnavas and he will start cursing Lord Janardhan also. So he gets up and then he leaves. And then after Lord Shiva leaves, all the followers also leave. अभी दक्षा भी चले गए, ब्रह्मा जी भी गए, शिव जी भी गए, अभी क्या करेंगे? यज्ञ has to be done. So all the remaining sages, they continued to perform the yajna. And they did that yajna for 1,000 years. And then they left for their abodes. Prabhupada writes, the sacrifice was not destroyed for the want of Shiva and Daksha, because they were doing sacrifice for the pleasure of the Lord. And then in that purport, Prabhupada describes about the demigod worship and how worship of Supreme Lord does not depend on all these, worship of the Devatas. Prabhupada writes a very interesting line there. One who is honest may be faithful to the government, but he does not need to bribe the government servants. Bribery is illegal. So that does not mean one should not show respect to the government servants, but we should not bribe them. So what Prabhupada is saying, worshipping Devata is bribing them. So that is the thing which he says. So that's how this, and ultimately Prabhupada says, ये कलयुग में तो ये देवता यज्ञ कुछ चलता ही नहीं, तो कौन सा यज्ञ चलता है? Sankirtan yajna. Prabhupada never leaves the chance to tell the main point. ये सब story सुना के end में Prabhupada writes Sankirtan yajna Sankirtana praya janti sumer. So intelligent people worship the Lord by chanting. That's how this chapter ends. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you. Any questions anybody has?
Prabhuji, what is that karma kand, all the rituals without bhakti is karma kand? Without any bhakti.
Yeah, karma kand means you do something for material benefits. So that is karma kand. And bhakti means you are doing for the pleasure of the Lord. So that's the difference.
Why Daksha did tapasya for 5 months for what?
To get powers and strength to beget children. Because अच्छा प्रजा उत्पन्न करने के लिए तपस्या करना पड़ता है. So he did that much tapasya. And actually Lord appeared. Very interesting thing, Lord Vishnu appeared. Lord Vishnu, and Daksha, he had tears of ecstasy seeing Lord Vishnu. But still, that was not ecstasy of devotion. Prabhupada writes that he was not completely purified. So therefore, again, he offended Narad Muni. So Lord Vishnu also blessed Daksha with powers, but he didn't give him pure devotional service. So ये यथामाम प्रपद्यन्ते, भगवान से जो मांगने के लिए तपस्या करेंगे वो ही देंगे ना. So that is the understanding. Okay, so I think no questions, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.